Let's look a little bit further at this idea of ecological flourishing. So this is the idea of greening the mosques. Morocco has undertaken a project to green its 15,000 mosques, starting with 600 by 2019. Through a partnership with Germany's International Development Agency GIZ, the Moroccan government aims to make mosques and other buildings more energy efficient, increase their use of renewable energy, particularly solar power. Project's other key goals include raising public awareness about renewable energy, creating new jobs, and training people to fill such jobs. So when you do this in the context of mosques, obviously people come to the mosques for prayers, for religious purposes, but when they see environmental issues as part of the mosque itself, obviously it raises environmental concerns and climate change to a level of religious considerations, hence all the moral dimensions, ethical dimensions associated with religion in their head, which is the key change in not separating religion from ecology. Right? Faith institutions commit to divest from fossil fuels. So here is a global map of the various religious institutions, faith institutions, considering theology for purposes of what is affecting Mother Nature. Whether you think about creation or you think it's a cycle, as the Hindu religion would say and Buddhism would say, things are reborn and they are destroyed and reborn. So Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu, the protector, the destroyer, and the creator, and so on. They are beginning to see fossil fuels as part of the problem, so they are thinking they are beginning to divest from fossil fuels. Again, that merges the philosophical, moral, ethical thinking of the religions with what it means for climate change. What does the ecological flourishing of the Earth community require in the face of climate change? The author says, I'm suggesting that ethical responses to environmental issues such as climate change involve reimagining human-Earth relations on a scale that is locally differentiated, so that takes care of the disparities of climate change and its impacts, culturally sensitive, so perception of each culture has to be considered carefully, ethically grounded, and globally attuned. So climate change is a global problem which is differentiated in terms of impacts, affecting different cultures, affecting the perceptions of different cultures about climate change, the causes and the dangers and the solutions. And they have to be ethically grounded. An awareness of place-based local concerns is indispensable. In the last chapter we talked about getting personal, going local. So this is the same thing now in the context of religion and ecology, as is sensitivity to particular cultures and religions. From this basis, an ethics can emerge that is grounded in place and culture, but also globally aware. Okay, this global awareness, because climate change is a global problem, but can it go beyond that? Okay, so this author has been involved in this idea of anthropocosmic worldview, which puts humans within a broader cosmos and not at its center. So if we go back to pre-Copernicus ideas, then we know that it was a heliocentric universe emerging after solar system emerging after that, with the geocentric view before that. A lot of things happened, a lot of knowledge was evolved, and people didn't think of the geocentric view as a handicap. And of course there were religious opposition to the heliocentric view, but now, especially in the 20th century, with all the telescopes and the satellites and those that have gone outside the solar system, and the advances in Einstein's theory of relativity and physics understanding, astrophysics, and so on, we know much more about what is actually going on with the idea of Big Bang, for example. Observations have told us that the universe is expanding, so that means if you go back in time, it has to crunch together, then the mass becomes so large that we get a singularity which we call Big Bang. Now new theories evolve that say that there was no singularity, maybe there are multiple universes, and so on. And if you remember the old joke by Stephen Hawking from his book A Brief History of Time, he would argue that if you believe in Big Bang, then you have to understand what happened before that. We say there was no time, there was no space, so something came out of nothing. He would say that's equivalent to believing in God. And if you ask a question, what was God doing before that? He would say, St. Augustine could say, God was busy preparing hell for people who ask questions like that. Okay, so the idea here is that the journey of the universe could give us this shared evolutionary story, which would place us in the context of the universe and not get so concentrated about Earth, our dominion over Earth, or stewardship of the environment, and all these arguments. And the idea that I like is to think about liquid water now. So now we have evidence of liquid water from Europa, from Titan, of course on Earth, and you can see the relative amounts of water elsewhere, much more on Titan potentially. Okay, so that is related to the volume of water on Earth. And just a month or so ago, we found out that there is water on the moon on the sunlit side. So obviously the extension is that if there is water, there is potentially life of some sort, microbial life. There is even evidence now that Venus has some chemicals that could only be of biotic origin. Does that mean there is some form of biology going on Venus? This allows us to think that maybe we are not so special. Maybe we are not put on Earth because we are somehow so special. Okay, so this journey of the universe is created to provide this 14 billion year historic view of cosmology and develop this anthropocosmic view and be in awe of everything that is there. Okay, so flourishing of Earth community would require such a view, as J. Baird Callicott would say, reintegrate science and its epistemology into the wider culture by expressing the new nature of nature as revealed by the sciences in the grammar of humanities. The language of the humanities and sciences are so different that the sciences must be translated into the grammar of humanities to create this awe of the kind of self-organizing creativity that abounds in nature and Earth. Okay, so the formation of galaxies, stars, movement of tectonic plates, chemistry of cells, biological complexity of photosynthesis, migrating patterns of birds, fishes, turtles, caribou, and so on. So such a cosmological perspective is both ancient and modern. So that's what Journey of Nature tries to do. Here is the book by Baird Callicott about reintegrating science and its epistemology into the wider culture by expressing the new nature of nature as revealed by the sciences in the grammar of the humanities. So this is a book, Encyclopedia of Environmental Ethics and Philosophy. Phenomenal, right? So that begins to get us to the idea of merging science and religion to create this new alliance to go towards solving climate change and not seeing religion as an impediment or to science or a handicap to deal with climate change and its impacts and its disparities and its ethical and moral issues.